Why do Bayan and Saravi argue that urban segregation is decreasing, even if economic inequality is growing? Do you see this dynamic in the spaces where you live and navigate? How? Why not? And so Bayan and Saravi argue that urban segregation can appear to be decreasing because cities now have more mixed-use spaces. Like they have the mall, public transportation, schools, and commercial areas where people from different classes, different social classes, cross paths. And so even while economic inequality keeps on growing. And so in other words, people may share the same city spaces without actually having equal living conditions. And I do see this a lot where I live because, I mean, there's so many of these different social classes that share the same stores, roads, and public spaces, but all come from different backgrounds. And they're usually separated by these people are coming from neighborhoods that are all separated from like income, housing prices, and opportunity. And so there's more physical proximity, but that doesn't necessarily mean more equality. Question 2. What do the authors say about urban sociability and urban interaction? Do you believe in the U.S. we tend to interact less with people that we assume do not look like us or live in spaces that look different from ours? Why or why not? And so the author describes urban sociability as the way people relate, socialize, or recognize the city, recognize one another in city life. Whereas urban interactions usually refer to everyday life encounters between different groups in these shared spaces. And so in the US, I think people often do interact less with people they think are different from them, whether that be race, social class, or neighborhoods. And this can usually happen from many reasons, like stereotypes, comfort zones, language barriers, or just social divisions. And so even in diverse cities, people often can share the same space, but still end up remaining like socially distant. Question 3. Please explain in detail what is the connection between gentrification, real estate speculation, displacement, and green landscapes that supposedly create a more developed and sustainable Medellin, Colombia. Who's really benefiting from all this? And so in Medellin, gentrification happens when neighborhoods become more attractive after green projects like parks, cable cars, riverfront spaces, and beautification efforts. And so after this, real estate speculation follows it because investors expect property values to increase, so they buy the land and the housing for the profit. And then from here, as prices increase, displacement occurs because low-income residents can no longer afford rent or taxes, and so they end up being pushed out. And so these sustainable developments projects usually benefit the developers, the wealthier residents, the tourists, and the city elites more than the long-time communities. And so while the city gains a modern image, many poor residents end up bearing the whole social cost of it. Question 4. What are 3 criticisms the article makes on the idea that green infrastructure benefits all? Do you think that as a society we have brought into this idea without questioning it too much? Why or why not? Do you benefit from it? If so, how? So first, the article criticizes the idea that green infrastructure benefits all because access is unequal. Wealthier groups often enjoy the best parks and the cleaner spaces. Second is it increases land values, which leads to displacement and affects the lower income residents. And then third, these projects are often presented as neutral and positive while hiding the economic interest behind it all. And so I think as a society we often accept the idea because just having like better parks and sustainability sounds universally good, and you really don't really think the background of it. You don't really think who is gaining the most from this. And so I benefit from green spaces through recreation, cleaner air, and safer public areas, but not everyone is receiving the same benefits equally. Question 5. Please explain the following ideas according to the article. Environmental gentrification, green gentrification, accumulation by disposition, and slum tourism. And in which ways do you believe these ideas shape development and sustainability for low and moderate income people? And so environmental gentrification is when environmental improvement raises an area's value and attracts wealthier residents. pushing outsiders, like pushing people out. Green gentrification is similar, but kind of focuses specifically on like bike lanes, parks, or just eco projects that further cause displacement. Accumulation by disposition means wealth is created for investors by taking land, housing, or resources from vulnerable residents and vulnerable communities. Now, slum tourism is basically when poor neighborhoods are turned kind of into attractions for outsiders like tourists. And these ideas shape development by making sustainability profitable for elites, while low and moderate income people may face higher costs, exclusion, or just removal instead of improving their type of living conditions.